man, this one doesn't really feel good to talk about because of how I proceeded in talking about this before. We're kind of doing a similar thing to what we did yesterday, where we talked about how I was wrong about the Erik Karlsson trade, but instead we're talking about a specific idea of a trade rumor that didn't happen. It wasn't something that eventually was even close to happening, and it just kind of withered away in the minds of Canucks fans. Today we're talking about Noah Hanifin. Because 2 years ago, in 2018, in May, before my grade 12 social justice class set out on a week-long field trip to New York City, which I had a very, very fun time at, and I do hold dearly in my heart because of the memories, there was a trade rumor on Elliotte Friedman's 31 Thoughts that kind of sparked a very, very big discussion amongst Vancouver Canucks Nation. Now, the trade rumor was summed up in a very short length. The trade rumor itself was only 6 words long, but the 6 words in this 31 Thoughts thought, yeah, it's a funny way how you describe it like that, read, Stealth team for Noah Hanifin, Vancouver. That was it. That was it. That 31 Thoughts article was published in May of 2018, and it set Canucks Twitter ablaze with ideas, speculation, rumors. Who could we trade for a Noah Hanifin, who was approaching a contract year with the Carolina Hurricanes that would need to be re-signed, and that was at a level that many dubbed elite. Now, I made a trade rumor video about this 2 years ago, and I regret a lot of the things that I said in that video, because the way I presented the information, sure, I think I did a good job. I was a 17-year-old high school student my senior year, getting ready to go to New York in the second last month of high school I would have had. And the way I talked wasn't super annoying. It wasn't in my super deep and wannabe Dave Meltzer voice that was just trying to sound cool. It was kind of just normal. But the things that I talked about were so... Okay. I started that video off by saying that Noah Hanifin was among the elite 2015 drafted defensemen. Along with Provorov and Marinsky, I said that these 3 guys were the big 3 in carrying the defensive load and being the best young defenders to come out into the NHL. Well, that's not the case anymore, isn't there? Because nowadays we have Heiskanen, Dahlen, Hughes, and Makar, soon to be Bowen Byram, Jamie Drysdale, and Brandt Clark, who are going to carry that load in a higher echelon than Provorov, Werenski, Hanifin, etc. So automatically we're wrong about that. Secondly, we talked about potential offers and potential things that the Vancouver Canucks could have been willing to give up in a Hanifin trade. And for the most part, I think this was honestly kind of fair in the way I presented it. Let's take a look at some Rick Dhaliwal tweets from 2 years ago talking about Noah Hanifin. This is what Friedman said on Sportsnet 650 5 days after he mentioned Hanifin's name in regards to Vancouver Canucks trade rumors. He believes that the Canucks have shown interest in Hanifin, and he believes that whatever they've talked about with the Hurricanes have not discounted it. Furthermore, I know this is going to go bananas. I'm just going to say this is my guess. My guess is it involves the 7th overall pick, but I don't know that for sure. Now, the 7th overall pick is something that I said as well. I said that if the Vancouver Canucks were going to trade for Noah Hanifin, the 7th overall pick to me was the most likely piece that would have been involved in a trade like that. Because in my mind, the untouchables in the Canucks system were Pettersson, it was Boeser, it was Horvat, it was, for some reason, Jonathan Dahlen, it was Thatcher Demko, it was these young guys that we had. And it was the tier of young guys that were going to be amazing with the Vancouver Canucks long term. To me, the guys like Goldolbin, the guys like DiPietro, these guys were touchables. I wanted to trade these guys, but the guys like Goldolbin, the guys like Berchi, the guys like DiPietro, these were not guys that, in my opinion, would have been enough to get a Noah Hanifin. And in regards to the 7th overall pick, the reason I was so open to the idea of Noah Hanifin for a 7th, and oh man, I'm really gonna be upset at myself for saying this, is because in my opinion, Noah Hanifin was a better hockey player than any defenseman the Canucks could have had at 7. And the names that I laid out were Noah Dobson, Evan Bouchard, and I'm wrong. Absolutely wrong. 110% wrong. Because with that 7th overall pick, the Vancouver Canucks selected a Florida-born American defenseman with the name of Quinn Hughes. And frankly, he's a guy that I had no idea was going to be there at 7. I had Hughes on my own personal draft board at 4. In my opinion, there was no way he was getting by 3rd, 4th, 5th overall. But alas, he did. And the way the Vancouver Canucks trade rumor side of things were laid out, if the Canucks were trading a Quinn Hughes for a Noah Hanifin, then today, in retrospect, I would have been so upset. The way Noah Hanifin was playing back then 2 years ago, to me at least, was setting himself up to be a number 2, number 3 potential top pairing defenseman. Back then, Noah Hanifin was coming off of a 32-point campaign in 79 games, and a lot of fans thought that Hanifin had the potential to reach greater heights, while also being such a great stud defensively. He was 6'2", 6'3" at the time, a left-handed defenseman with size at 21 years of age, and as a result, people thought Noah Hanifin was going to lead the charge along with the Provorovs and the Werenskis into the future of NHL Norris conversations. Dahlen was in that conversation, of course, but he was 2 years removed from the time frame of being elite number 1 potential material. However, the way things have progressed, Noah Hanifin has gotten 33 points after that, and 22 points after that. He's nowhere near the same caliber of defenseman that people thought he was going to be at this point 2 years ago. Now he's on a near $5 million contract that lasts until 2024. And the way the Vancouver Canucks used their draft pick to get Quinn Hughes, he's a guy who got 50 points in his first NHL year. He's still 21 years old, and he has changed the face of Vancouver Canucks defense. And I'm so frustrated at myself for saying something that can be viewed with such inaccuracy today that you can't help but just laugh. Just laugh at some of the funny things that we were talking about. How I said that any defender that we draft at 7 is not going to be as good as Hanifin. How I said that Provorov, Werenski, and Hanifin were so good. Without even thinking about the Hugheses and the Makars. It's crazy to see how fast the NHL can change in a matter of years. It's only been 2 years, and now we're here. Noah Hanifin is not that caliber anymore. So, with that in mind, comment down below in the comments what you were thinking about this Noah Hanifin thing back when the trade rumors were thriving high. And if I wanted to pose a comment question for this video here, using 2020 vision, 2020 vision, Cupid hit me with precision. Put your goggles on from this year. If the Canucks were still in the mix for trading for a Noah Hanifin, what would be the most that you would give up now? Because back then, I said that the 7th overall pick was in that conversation of things that I would be willing to depart with. But at the same time, Jonathan Dahlen, who was a guy that did eventually get traded a year later, was not. So there's a big entertaining discussion to be had here. Obviously, Hanifin is not in trade rumors anymore. He signed a contract. He is a Flames D-man. He is going to be on their team for the next, 4 years, pretty much. But just in a hypothetical world, what does your trade package look like? Obviously, anybody can say, oh, I'd trade Louis Eriksson for Noah Hanifin, no cap, bet. And obviously, everybody would agree. But in terms of valuable assets, what do you think is the most valuable thing that you would be willing to give up? Comment down below what you have to say. I'm very interested in reading your comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. So that Trolls 99, and bye.